Good morning, my name is Bob Cushing. I'm the Labour Party candidate for the Shirland and South Winkleworth division in the forthcoming Derbyshire County Council elections on the 1st of May. This is the sixth and final video in my series of videos about the pledges that Labour Party has made for the forthcoming election, and this is number 6, which focuses on education. Education is one of the largest items on the County Council's budget. The three largest are actually education, care homes and roads. As you probably know, Derbyshire has had trouble making its budget over the last year and has come close to being insolvent. They have now published a balanced budget for the new financial year, so hopefully things will improve irrespective of which party comes into power. The biggest issue with education, however, is special educational needs and disability provision, which is often called SEND. And in fact, Ofsted have condemned Derbyshire's performance in terms of SEND provision on the basis of widespread and systemic failures to deliver service. Part of this is caused by the closing of day centres, but there has also been £40 million worth of additional SEND funding, which doesn't seem to have been correctly applied, so I'm not quite sure what's happened with that. The Labour government has basically vouched for an additional £1 billion worth of funding for SEND provision, and if we're elected to lead the council, then we'll make sure that that money gets spent where it needs to be spent. Remembering, of course, that these are some of our most vulnerable children and need this provision in order to make some progress with their own education. The Labour Party has also announced at the back end of 2024 that it will be providing breakfast clubs for all primary schools across the country rather than the 10% that were originally committed to by the Conservative government. And this provision has already started to roll out with several primary schools in Derbyshire receiving their first payments and setting up breakfast clubs. Breakfast clubs have an enormous impact upon the ability of children to respond to education, particularly from the poorest families where there may be some deprivation at home. On that subject of children and families, Labour has also committed to improve the housing situation in the UK, which particularly affects the poorer families, by committing to building at least 1 million new homes, and also by introducing a whole raft of legislation around rented property and the security of tenure of rented tenants, because this has an enormous impact upon well-being for families and their children in the home. So Labour is pledging to improve educational provision in Derbyshire, has made additional funding available, and if elected will try and make sure that this money flows through in the appropriate way and improves the educational outcomes for children in Derbyshire.